and what Jim Jones have done in this game. A lot of these rappers have done a tremendous job, and I take nothing away from them, but they forget I got a hell of a catalog. Me, Jim Jones, myself, Gold Records, and what Jim Jones have done in this game. A lot of these rappers have done a tremendous job, and I take nothing away from them, but they forget I got a hell of a catalog. Me, Jim Jones, myself, Gold Records, Platinum Records, Gold Albums, Platinum Albums. No, me, Jim Jones. No diplomats, me, Jim Jones.
Jim Jones is not moving off his word. He said what he said, and he is acting like there is nothing to clean up. When he spoke on Nas and claimed he had more influence in hip-hop, a lot of people looked at him sideways. Some fans thought Jim was reaching, some thought he was chasing a reaction, and others felt like he was just talking too loud. But now the question came back around, does Jim want to take it back? And he made it clear that he is still standing on the idea that his impact reaches deeper with certain crowds than Nas. Now, when you break it down, older hip-hop heads, especially 45 and up,
listen, we can't compare the two. What I'm trying to tell you is that...
I want to go there. I want to go down the line now, because now we're going down the line.
Are probably choosing Nas all day. But the younger crowd might see it different, and that is where this whole debate gets messy. Want more celebrity news and real stories behind the spotlight? Subscribe today so you're always here for the next one. We got to get straight into this one because the room is louder than ever. It is 2026, podcasts are getting extra bold, and everybody with a mic is saying whatever is on their chest. And let's not act brand new, we all remember when Jim Jones jumped out there with that Nas tape. At least, that is how it looked to a lot of people watching it happen in real time. Jim Jones said he is more influential than Nas, then added, "I'll wrap circles around him."
Let's get this right. I'm way more influential than Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made a little boo-boo when we talk about the sales and all this type, a little bit run. But Nas always came up second to Jay and DMX and all these other people. Like,
ain't no shame in that. There a lot of mofos came up second to Tom Brady.
He never had that type of influence on us, except for his first.
Right away, plenty of hip-hop fans said, come on. Because in a rap skill debate, most people are not putting Jomo, also known as Jim Jones, in the same lane as Nas. That is not hate. That is just how a lot of the culture sees it. Nas is around 52 or 53, and Jim is close to 52. So this is not some old school versus young school thing. Then you look at the numbers and the conversation gets even colder. Reports and fan chatter point to Jim having around 9.2 million in career earnings, while Nas is sitting around 9.2 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Those streams, followers, catalog plays, and fan reach all stack up. So when people compare these two, the math starts looking real shaky for Jim Jones, no matter how confident he sounds. When it comes to reported net worth, people throw around numbers like Nas at 80 million and Jim Jones at 10 million.
Check my track record, then check everybody else's track record, then go to the billboards and check all my entries, then check all them entries and shit like that. And I'm not taking nothing away from nobody. I've been spanking a lot of this shit. I'm talking about the industry. I've been putting on.
Now look, nobody is clowning a man with millions in the bank. That is still major. But it is clear Jim Jones felt some kind of way, and that is why he spoke up. In his mind, he believes his influence connects more with today's crowd. And honestly, I cannot act like Jim did not leave a stamp. I saw how his wave hit the block. I grew up through both lanes. I saw the Nas era, from the early 90s into the late 90s, then into the 2000s. Then I saw Jim Jones rise through the mid-2000s and keep his name alive all the way up to now. So this debate is not simple. Depending on your age, your city, and what you grew up hearing, you might feel completely different. But when Jim Jones pulled up on Fat Joe and Jadakiss's show, The Joe and Jada Show, people were looking at him like he had lost the plot.
Damn, you're acting like I said I was gonna bring the Koofy list back. That's for law, huh?
That one statement from Jim Jones shook the room. It had fans talking, timelines buzzing, and even Fat Joe and Jadakiss looking at him like, are you serious right now? Do people agree that Jim Jones really has a resume? Because let's be fair, he does. Gold records, platinum records, big moments, and songs that moved outside of just the Dipset name. We can laugh, debate, and crack jokes, but Jim Jones did build a lane for himself. He is not just the Dipset guy. He kept his name ringing for years, and that part deserves respect. But when you stack him next to Nas, the whole conversation starts looking different. Pull up the Billboard entries, the catalog, the classic albums, the impact, and it does not line up the same way. When you put Nas on one side and Jim Jones on the other, that is probably when Jim knew he had said something that was going to follow him. Sometimes Jomo gets emotional, and when emotions take the wheel, the words do not always land right.
Mr. Jim.
DJ Gio?
Mr. Jim, do you regret your Nas remarks? Jim, do you regret your Nas remarks? Jim, do you regret your Nas remarks?
Huh?
Do you regret your Nas remarks about...
No, nigga. I don't regret nothing I say, nigga.
And look, I will give Jim this. He has never been scared to show how he feels. The man got emotional on Hot 97 with Funk Flex, and that moment had everybody watching close. The room almost felt tense because people could not believe Jim was really standing on the idea that he was more influential than Nas. Nas is one of those names that covers a whole era. Jim Jones is dope as an artist, no doubt, but Nas has albums like Illmatic and It Was Written, records that people still treat like hip-hop scripture.
I gotta show you the statistics of what I've done. You heard to what other people was done. You heard them. You wanna go to the Billboard entries, pull up Nas' Billboard entries, then pull up my
Jim has moments, but Nas has a body of work that shaped a generation. And let's not forget the era Nas came through. He was standing in one of the toughest rap generations ever, with names like DMX, Jay-Z, J. Rule, and 50 Cent all making major noise. The competition was heavy, the pressure was real, and Nas still held his spot. That is why people respect him so much. He did not just survive that era, he stayed sharp through it. But Jim Jones is not letting this Nas debate fade away. The BET Awards just happened, and Jim doubled down like he had no plans to walk anything back. A lot of people could not believe it, but he stood there and basically said, "I said what I said, I mean what I say." That is a bold move, especially when the whole internet is already waiting to drag the take apart. Then the cameras caught him near the BET Awards entrance, and his face said everything before he even finished talking. When they asked if he regretted what he said about Nas, Jim made it clear.
I was a superior Nas fan, period. I'd never take that away from him, but then as I got in the game, you gotta realize that your rivals would be idols.
No, I don't regret nothing I say. He was not smiling like it was a joke either. He looked locked in, like he really believes every word. So now Jim Jones is standing on business, and the debate is getting louder. But to me, when you break down Nas and Jim Jones side by side, it still feels simple. Jim has hits, influence, and street presence, no doubt. But when it comes to rap skill, music, albums, and legacy, Nas is in a different conversation. Jim Jones, let's keep it all the way honest. You do not rap like Nas. That is not disrespect. That is just a real music conversation. But when we talk about influence with today's crowd, that is where Jim has a point people do not want to admit. A lot of younger listeners know Jim Jones from the Dipset wave, the fashion, the attitude, the ad-libs, the records, and the way he stayed visible online. Some of them may not really know Nas beyond the name, and that is where the debate gets tricky. Nas is moving different now. He is not chasing every viral moment or jumping into every loud conversation. He is in that grown boss lane, touching business, investments, and bigger plays outside of rap. But when we talk pure bars, albums, storytelling, and legacy from my era, Jimmy knows Nas is not someone you casually stand next to. Nas is one of those artists you measure greatness against. Still, Jim Jones is doubling down and saying, "I'm more influential than Nas." That is a bold claim, and he is not blinking. To me, this is really about two different eras crashing into each other. Nas owned that early 90s into early 2000s lane, while Jim Jones caught fire later, when Dipset had the streets, the mixtapes, the fashion energy moving crazy. Jim was still building while Nas had already stamped himself as a rap legend. I remember the moments, the lines, the battles, and that whole energy around Nas. He was playing on another level while Jim was still trying to climb into that space. But Jim still made his own mark, and that is why this argument will not die easy. So what do you think? Is Jim Jones really more influential to today's crowd, or is Nas too legendary to compare? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with somebody who knows hip-hop.